Hey, my name's Izzy. This is Rolling Virtual Cards coming at you with another Commander deck build. This time we've got Frodo, Determined Hero. For 1 and a white, you get a 2/2 legendary creature, Halfling Warrior, with the following effects. When Frodo, Determined Hero, enters the battlefield or attacks, you may attach target equipment you control with mana value 2 or 3 to Frodo. And as long as it's your turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to Frodo. Okay, let's go over this. Why would you want to run Frodo, Determined Hero? Well, if you're looking for a mono white equipment deck, there's a lot of choices that you can have. Frodo is definitely one of those choices. Number one, you don't have to worry about blockers killing it because it cannot be taken. It can't take it. You prevent damage that would be dealt to it on your turn, which is very useful. On top of that, it cheats equipment costs, which is very nice. So stuff that would normally equip for 5, as long as it's a 3 or 2 drop, you get equipped for free. It does enter the battlefield and get the equipment onto it right away. And then when it attacks, it gets that equipment. So you can get pretty aggressive there if you have, if you drop an equipment and have a way to give it haste. And so you have a few equipments when you cast it, you can kind of get in there quickly. And you can rebuild. If someone kills Frodo, recasting it, equipping something automatically, giving it boots, and then swinging in and equipping another thing, that's going to let you rebuild really fast. As a 2-drop, it means you just got to get another, just 4, and boom, all of a sudden you're back in the game, which is very useful. Other than that, there are other choices that do other things, but if you're looking for a Voltron equipment mono white deck, this is definitely up the alley as a choice. And again, like I say with all these Lord of the Rings decks, if you're a fan of Frodo and you like this type of deck, it's a fun way to play Frodo. There's a few choices on how to play Frodo. This is definitely one of those choices. That being said, let's get into the card by card. First off, we have these two. They're under abilities because they do double trigger abilities. On combat damage, Frodo does not have that, but any other creatures running in the deck that do have combat damage triggers, it helps. It does work because there are equipments that will give Frodo those abilities, which will help in the long run. Here, Hargum, Sword of Rohan, is under ETB enablers because it does allow you to flicker something, along with grabbing a land and ramping. But one of the cool things about that is you can flicker Frodo and have it come in to grab something else. Not sure why you want to do that, but there's definitely some reasons. Maybe you dealt the damage and you don't have the mana to equip hexproof to it, so you can flicker it and then it comes in and you put that hexproof card on it or shroud on it or something so they can't target it. Blackblade Reforged is going to be here for a finisher. The equipped creature is going to get +1/+1 for each land you control. So if you have 9 lands, Frodo will become a 11/11, and then you just need double strike to kill someone, or you'll need 19 lands to kill someone. Saram, Senior Artificer, is here under Magecraft because it triggers off cast. That's what I use Magecraft for. I know there's actual ability called Magecraft. But Saram is here because it draws your cards off of casting equipment. So all the equipment you cast, you'll be drawing cards. So you can keep getting more and more cards for Frodo to have equipped. Ramp, we're running a small ramp package because you're running a lot of 2 and 3 drops, which makes the deck fairly loadly round. Soul Ring is one of them. Then you got Wayfarer's Bauble to grab a land. That's going to help you with Blackblade Reforged. Dousing Dagger becomes a land, which is pretty interesting once you deal damage with it. And it'll tap for 3 of any one color, which is great. Goldvine Pick will buff Frodo just a slight bit, but it's mainly here to grab treasures when it deals damage. Mind Stone is here. You can sack it later on to draw a card. Sword of the Animus is going to really help you with Blackblade Reforged, so it will give Frodo +1/+1, but it also searches your library for a basic land card and puts it on the battlefield tapped, and then you shuffle, which is great. That's just a land each turn, so eventually that'll just help you double up your lands. Thought Vessels here, no maximum hand size, which can be useful. And then on top of the Thought Vessel, doing that, it ramps you for 1. Bitterhorn, Nissa's Animus. It's a living weapon, so it comes in equipped to a 0/0 germ, giving it +1/+1. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield, tapped and shuffle. It is literally just sort of the Animist, but with living weapon, which is great. It's also 3/3 instead of 2/2, but you can equip it to him easily, kill the germ off, double lands each turn. Again, it's very useful. Foundry Inspector is going to make all your artifacts cost 1 less, which you're running 90% artifacts in this deck. We already went over here, sort of Hearth and Home, but this will also search your library for a land when you deal damage. So that doubles up with the double strikers, which makes it slightly better. You do have to exile a creature, so watch out for that. Sort of Feast and Famine is going to let you untap all your lands when you deal the damage. Sort of Forge and Frontier is going to allow you to exile the top 2 cards of your library and play an additional land. Again, a bunch of lands, and land ramp is good because of that Black Blade performance. Recursion, we do have some recursion because people like to blow your stuff up. Forge anew, when it enters the battlefield, you can return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you cast an instant, and you may pay 0 rather than pay the equipment cost for the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. So this basically allows you to double up on Frodo's effects. Not only do you get one upon its attack and enter, you can also just, for once, just equip something. So, and it grabs you equipment that's in the graveyard. Sword of Light and Shadow is going to allow you to return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Sword of Once and Future is going to allow you to cast an instant sorcery with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard. And if the spell would be put in the graveyard, exile instead. And Mantle of the Ancients, when it enters the battlefield, return any number of target aura or equipment cards from your graveyard attached to the enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. I forgot to tag this properly. It's just missing finisher. So, yes, it has the finisher equivalence of like put a bunch of stuff on it, but its main thing is that +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it. So, if you got 5, 10, you're gonna get buffed. 34 basic planes. You can run some utility lands if you find some. And in this deck, it's definitely worth it because you're running mostly colorless land cards. Action to life gain. Resurrection Orb. Equipped creature has lifelink, and when equipped creature dies, return to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So if someone does kill it at the beginning of the next, like so on their turn, it just comes back. And then someone else has to kill it. But that lifelink is going to keep you alive a lot longer than you would think. Umezawa's Jitte is here because you can remove a counter to gain 2 life. Lakshana Warhammer is here because it's going to give you +3 and also lifelink. Sword of Light and Shadow is here because you gain 3 life when you deal damage. And Sword of War and Peace is here because you gain life equal to the number of cards in your hand when you deal damage. Combo piece, since it's Divine and Top, it's not a combo piece in this deck, it's a combo piece in other decks. But in here, you're really just using it to clean up the top cards of your deck to find something. Damage. These are all just here for extra damage. Armory of Iros. The equipped creature gets +1/+1. When equipped creature attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on it. So this is just going to repeat, getting it more and more 1/1 counters each time it attacks. Great Sword of Try. When an equipped creature attacks, you put a 1/1 counter on it and tap up a 1 target creature defending player controls. So this is going to allow you to, again, slowly get him stronger and stronger with the 1/1 counters, and then also tap something that might block it. Inquisitor's Flail is going to double the damage it deals. It doesn't matter if it gets double damage because it won't take damage on your turn. Lion Slash will give it +1/+1 for each counter on it. So you want to use Lion Slash as like a removal spell for opponents' graveyards, getting rid of all their creatures. Or sorry, if it was a permanent. So giving rid of its permanents and their permanents in their graveyards, and then equip it when it reconfigure it when it can. Sword of Hours is going to put a 1/1 counter, and then when it deals combat damage, you roll a d12, and if the result is greater than the damage dealt, or the result is 12, you double the number of 1/1 counters on the creature. So, this is interesting, because with Double Strike, you get that twice. So if you deal like 3 damage, and you have 2 1/1 counters on it, you just have to roll higher than a 3 on a d12. Greater than, yeah. So, like, roll higher, a 4 to 12, and double the 1/1 counters. Now it's at... It was at 2, so now it's at 4 1/1 counters. You know, and the next turn you attack, and you're at 5. So it kind of gets out of control. And then eventually you'll stop seeing the results there, but once you're at 11, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to get to 11. Thring Power Suit's going to give it +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to it, and Ward 2, so you got some protection there. And then you got a way to just deal a lot of extra damage. Umezawa's Jitte is going to help you with damage because you can remove counters from it to give it +2/+2, which is very useful. Nettle Cyst is living weapon, but it will equip, and the creature will get +1/+1 for each artifact and/or enchantment you control. A Sword of War and Peace allows you to deal damage to them equal to the number of cards in their hand, which is useful. And Mantle of the Ancients, this is here because of the +1/+1 for each aura and enchantment equipment attached to it. Draws, we got a handful of draws. Esper Sentinel is here simply because I like Esper Sentinel in decks where I can buff them because they have to pay extra its power, so instead of forcing them to pay 1, all of a sudden they have to pay 5. Top is here because it's going to help you draw. Mask of Memory draws you 2 and then discards you 1 when you deal damage. Mines don't give you sack to be drawn. Rogue's Glove just allows you to draw a card when you deal damage. We went over SRAM, it draws you cards off when you cast an aura equipment or a vehicle. Bilbo's Ring, if it's your turn, the equipped creature has hexproof and can't be blocked, allowing you just not have to worry about being blocked. And when an equipped creature deals or attacks alone, you draw a card and lose a life. And since you will be doing that, it doesn't really matter. You will be attacking alone most of the time. Sword of Fire and Ice is great because it'll let you draw a card when you deal damage. And Sword of Forge and Frontier exiles the top 2 cards of the library and lets you cast them until you're or play them till the end of your turn. And then Sword of Once and Future does Surveil twice, which is kind of a draw. Evasion, we need evasion to make sure we get in there. Cloak of the Bat gives your creature flying and haste. Great Sword of Tyre does block an opponent, or does make a creature not be able to block. Prowler's Helm is going to give the creature, make it so it can only be blocked by walls, which is usually just unblockable. Trailblaze Boots allows it to be unblockable by non-basic land. It gives it non-basic land walk, so as long as they have a non-basic land, they can't block it, which is normal for most decks. Bilbo's Ring gives it unblockable. Cloudsteel Karen gives it flying. All the swords give it protection from 2 different colors, allowing it to just not be blocked. They also give it +2/+2. Which is like, it'll add up over time. Loxodon Warhammer gives Trample, which is some form of evasion. Maul of the Skyclaves gives it flying. There's all the swords. And then Whisper Silk Cloak gives it unblockable. And Shroud. So some protection. Interaction, we're running a handful of interaction just to try to remove cards your opponents. That might be problematic for you. Path of Exile and Sword of Plowshares. Darksteel Mutation gets rid of like their problematic planes or commander. Lion Sash gets rid of their graveyard stuff. Swiftfoot Boosts is, I guess, technically interaction because it prevents your opponent from being able to target your creature. Umezawa's Jitte, you can neg one their creatures by removing counters. Generous Gift pops anything but gives them a 3/3. Lothlorien Blade, when a equipped creature attacks, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature defending player controls. This is great because if your guy's like 6 now, like a 6/5 or something like that, you can just pop something big and then keep going. Sword of Fire and Ice will do 2 damage to any target once you hit them. Sword of Sinew and Steel will pop a Planeswalker and an artifact. Return to Dust pops an artifact or enchantment, and if it's your main phase, you pop 2 of them and you actually exile them. Wrath of God will just blow the field up. Same with Austere Command and Farewell. You just get more choice with Austere Command and Farewell. For mana cheat, just cheating stuff out, we have the Forge of New, which helps you cheat once a turn. Mantle of Ancients gets you this stuff out for free. Sigarda's 8 allows you to cast auras and equipment at flash, and when an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may just attach to target creature control. It's cool to just swing at an opponent and then cast a few things and just equip them all with Sigarda's 8. Unfortunately, Sigarda's 8 does not have flash itself, so they will see it coming. Protection, this is just to prevent them from dying. Mask of Avacyn gives it hexproof. Resurrection Orb makes it come back. Robes of Stars, equipped creature phases out, so you can just phase it. Swift Boots gives it hexproof. Thran Power Suit gives it Ward 2. Adrual Flame of the West allows you to make spirits, which is very useful because those spirits will be there to be sacked instead of your opponent being targeted. Bilbo's Ring gives you hexproof on your turn. Champion's Helm gives it hexproof if it's legendary. Cold Steel Kirin makes so your opponents can't win the game and you can't lose the game. Darksteel Plate gives it indestructible. Ghostly Prison makes so that they have to pay 2 more to attack you. All the swords give them protection from those colors. Mithril Coat is going to give it indestructible. And Whisper Silk Cloak is going to give it Shroud. Tokens, those are the two that have great tokens. Sword of Body and Mind gives you 2/2 token, wolf token, and makes your opponent mill, but that doesn't really do much. And then your 3 wipes. So overall, the point of this deck is really just a Voltron. Make Frodo big and beat the crap out of people. You can equip stuff for free once a turn, which will help you early game, and then it helps you get you back in the game late game. So I think the deck's fun. I like Frodo. Overall, I think it's interesting. Interesting mono white equipment build. But yeah, with that, don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to catch me on Twitch. I stream Mondays and Fridays. Sometimes Wednesdays, but Mondays and Fridays, 7 to 12. Peace.